Folks, if you're interested in participating in holding elected office, both the school district and the town are accepting applications starting on Wednesday, right? And that'll run to the 4th of March. So if you really want to get involved, now's your opportunity. And then we meet again on March 7th. That's the same week as the deliberative sessions for both the school and the town. Anything else? Anyone have any other announcements? Seems strange being in this table. So.
It really does. It's like having a wall between.
I know.
Yeah, it is. You have to put your chair up a little higher, that's all. So, all right, so it is 6:32 for our minutes taker. That's when we started. No other announcements. Public comment. Anyone here from the public wish to comment? All right, then that takes us straight to our first item on our agenda. And Matt, would you like to come up and join us? So this is Amy's other half. You mean a name like that doesn't?
A little unique, a little different.
All right. So I know that you and Mike have been talking,
Yep.
and we just thought it'd be great if you could come here and we could explore this a little further.
Sure. So as you've mentioned, Mike and I met, I don't know, a month ago or so, 6 weeks ago, and we kind of started talking about environmental education programs. I do have money coming into the budget starting in this next fiscal year to start planning some of these types of things. And, obviously Wasserman Park is a great resource that we can do a lot with, but we also have some other great properties in town, Greater Woods and Horse Hill, and which are things that are under your jurisdiction. So we wanted to just kind of see what opportunities might exist out there, because I think there's a lot of people in town that probably may have never been to those. I still find 2 years, I've been here 2 years now, and I still find people that go, I've lived in town for 15 years, but I've never been to Wasserman Park. Really? Okay. So, I would envision that exists with some of these other properties that we have in town. And so, our goal is to get people outdoors and exploring some of these areas and kind of seeing what we can do with some of those. And, we've done a few already. We've worked with, New Hampshire Fish and Wildlife, and they've done, their Intro to Fishing program. And we did a trapping workshop last fall. A couple of different things, and so far all the things that we've done have been really well received. We're getting 15 to 20 people for a one-day workshop, and so we're, like I said, looking to kind of continue to expand that. And some of the things that we've kind of looked at is the outdoor life skills, geocaching and not map and compass work and knots and things that people don't necessarily learn how to do anymore. And what we have here for some of our facilities is fairly unique. I know of 2 communities in Massachusetts that do a lot of this type of programming, and they do it well, but most communities don't necessarily have what we have here, But then we've also kind of thought about, ecology and, wildlife habitats and, plant identification. I know you guys had a discussion, I think your last meeting, about maple sugaring and that kind of stuff. And do we do anything with that? And so, again, my initial point for reaching out to you guys was, one, some of these are potential for using your lands, but 2, whether you guys had an interest in kind of partnering with us, and some of it for what we offer will depend on who I can find to teach these or lead these activities, but you might have some resources that I don't necessarily have, was the other piece of that.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's true, and I know I brought up, and I thought the commission was responsive about each subcommittee maybe trying to sponsor an event at their property. That would get people out to those individual, like Greater Woods or Horse Hill or Wildcat Falls, and then each subcommittee can maybe come up with a program to host.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then, like I said, if we maybe it's a monthly on a Saturday or a random Wednesday night or whatever it happens to be, and try to build kind of year-round, each month we travel somewhere new and, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure the Wildcat Falls Subcommittee has got enough
Okay.
momentum there, but we could certainly help push that along. In fact, if we did something out there, it might help create some momentum for that subcommittee. So generate some interest. So that's obviously an idea. Now, in the past, we've done different things with middle school.
Mm-hmm.
We've utilized the Outdoor Education Center there.
Yep.
We've done a vernal pool party, which I think we did the week that some of the students were gone or something like that. I know that more recently the middle school has been sponsoring trips to Washington, D.C., and not all the students are able to go.
Right.
So the students that stay behind, we did a raptor session, brought in the raptor lady, and some of the parents participated as well. So education is one of our prime goals. We've stated that's something we want to do. And education can happen in many, many different ways. But certainly getting the community involved on the town's properties that we manage or own is really the right thing we should be doing. So
Great.
So, is there one thing that you'd like to try and accomplish in the near term that we could, get this thing started with? Does that make sense, everyone?
Probably in the short term, I guess it would be making those connections with those three committees, those three subcommittees, and start kind of looking towards maybe later in the summer, and because it's going to take some time to not only put it together but also get the word out. And
what kind of time promotion-wise do you think is adequate?
For most, if I have it, obviously the more time I have, the better, and the easier we have getting word out. But at a bare minimum, a month. Although again, I don't have funding until July anyway. So if we can be looking at, I'm working now on kind of summer programs. So, and then as we get closer to summer, I start working on the fall. So I'm always kind of 3 to 6 months in advance. So, again, the more time I have, the easier that makes it to do.
So do you think you would have a budget, if possible, like to hire a professional forester or
yeah, I mean, it's
guy?
a limited budget to start. I don't have it in front of me off the top of my head. It's $1,000, $2,000, somewhere in that ballpark to start. If we end up getting our revolving fund passed at the ballot this year, then that opens up some additional possibilities because I'll be able to self-fund our programs moving forward. But we have, like I said, we've got some already kind of pre-marked in the budget from taxpayers already coming forward this year.
Yeah, and we have some funds available to us as well, so.
Thank you. I have a question, Matt. When you came before the town council, we were talking about budget,
Mm-hmm.
and you had mentioned some of the great new ideas you had for
Yep.
programs for the day camp, the summer camp.
Yep.
One of the things that you mentioned was something along the lines of a forest ranger, park ranger type educational program.
Yep.
And that was when I mentioned that possibly we could team up with this
Yep.
committee with Parks and Rec
Yep.
to see if we had any type of resources available or connections with people.
Right.
So are you all set with that, or have you put it on hold, or just haven't had a chance to get to it yet?
I'm kind of doing it all at once.
Okay.
We could get you some names of
Yeah,
people.
and obviously, like when we had, New Hampshire Fish and Wildlife came in and did those couple of different programs, that was a free program, so it doesn't cost us anything. So, we can keep planning. But yeah, we're still hoping to find kind of park ranger type programs. But that's kind of where this all started, and which, like I said, led me to you guys for the next piece of that. But we're still looking to hire somebody, but I haven't found that person yet.
Because does it make sense for you to start reaching out for contacts that you don't have, that these folks might have already,
Yeah.
that would make your job a little bit easier?
Definitely.
So,
Yep.
thank you.
Now, New Hampshire Cooperative Extension, have you done any work with them or talked
I
to them
haven't
at all?
yet. I know of some of the work that they've done, but I haven't done anything with them myself.
Because they've done some programs here in town as well. They've joined up with John Lestoker and does something in the early spring on his property pruning fruit trees and blueberries and things like that.
Nice.
So, maybe we can do something else with them that would
Right.
fall, education-wise. So something that homeowners or, backyard gardenists would like.
Yep.
So, especially if they're talking about planting shrubs or bushes or berries that would benefit wildlife and stuff like that as well. If it's not just for human consumption. So,
Right.
And I would imagine possibly a walk or two on one of our properties, led by someone from the committee or a subcommittee, which is just more informal,
Yeah.
Mhm.
might be appropriate too. About just more ecologically based.
Yeah, we had tried doing monthly hikes, I think, on Horse Hill back when, but I think promotion kind of got in the way of us, and we weren't able to promote it well enough, and it usually ended up just being the members who were going to guide the hike that showed up for the hike, and every now and then we would get extra people, so that kind of fell by the wayside. So,
And that might be something where, we were doing, in the last year, we were just doing kind of walks around Wasserman just to kind of talk about the stuff all the improvements that we've been making. And I probably had, I think I did about 6 of them, and I probably had 35 or 40 people come on some of those. So we might have an easier time kind of marketing those programs because we're already doing it, so people are already kind of looking for our stuff, and that, like I said, the walks were something that would be of interest too.
do you think the Mountain Bike Association would like to do a kind of a community day or something, kind of advertise for themselves as well as
Yeah.
just throwing it out there?
Yeah, I think they would. It's a little slightly difficult when you get a bunch of people at different levels of,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have never been on one before, and they're obviously going to be a little more difficult. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Wasserman's a great place to do that.
Yeah, and you can even kind of start, we've kind of looked at the same thing with like snowshoeing and cross-country skiing, here's how you get started, here's what you need, here's what you're looking for when you're buying equipment, and, even those kinds of things I think are beneficial for people that have, want to try it and just need the opportunity, almost like a demo day. Like usually at the Winter Carnival, we have Eastern Mountain Sports comes in and with the snowshoes and does a little bit of that, but we want to kind of expand upon that.
Yeah, so we have access to people from Audubon, foresters, the raptor ladies,
Yep.
biologists, botanists. So we could do a whole host of different things. It's really just a matter of just trying to pick one and move forward.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, maybe we start with the subcommittees and those kind of 3 properties, and maybe we talk to each one, and what do we really want to sell here? Is there a feature, or there's a new trail open, or that kind of thing, and kind of work from there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then hopefully at some point we'll have the town center trail and we'll be able to walk that.
Right.
We could lead it right out of this parking lot.
That's right.
So, so I'm open to what you want to do for next steps. It's just a matter of letting us know how we can help and participate. So,
Okay.
and I do think we can bring funds to the table. Of course, we need enough time to have a public discussion on that.
Right.
So.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Cool. No, I look forward to doing something. So.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you,
Yes,
Matt.
All right, so that finishes appointments for tonight. That takes us to our statutory advisory business, and the first item is Michael Moquin. Did I say that correctly? Yeah. So Michael's here. We're doing a review for recommendation for the planning board for a project to create a multifamily dwelling at 56 Daniel Webster Highway. So if I could just get you to sign my sheet there, that way our minutes taker gets the accurate spelling and all that. And hopefully I got it right on the agenda. And then, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with what our role is here. Did it? No, I'm not. Okay. So just to set the expectations then, so we review projects that end up that happen within the Aquifer Conservation District. subdivisions and other things that go to the planning board. And we typically provide a recommendation to the planning board. We have no jurisdiction here. We can't demand anything of you. We can't set any rules and all that. But we do provide a recommendation to the planning board, and typically those recommendations are around stormwater, landscaping, fertilizer, snow removal, things that impact the environment, and not only just on your property, but potentially abutting properties and things like that as well. So, and then the planning board can use our recommendations. They can act on them, or they can decide not to, depending on what we come up with. So hopefully, I'm sure we're a friendly crowd here. So.
This is my third project there, so this
Okay.
is the first time I've been in front of you.
All right.
Turn your mic on, please.
Okay, yeah, this should be a push, and it should get really bright.
Oh, there it goes. Sorry about that.
Yep. So I was hoping you could kind of give us an overview of what it is that you want to do and stuff like that.
Basically, it's an industrial zoned area, 56. I don't know if you're familiar with the area. It's right between S&J's and Skips Marina, right across from National Corp. What we're doing is I have a 40 by 50 garage, and we're taking half of the 20 feet of the garage and doing a 10-foot kick out, and we're going to make that living space for me and my wife. All our kids moved out, and I don't need a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house anymore, so we're going to rent that out, and it is already a multi-family, so my son lives next door. My father used to live there, and he passed away. Now my son lives there, and we're going to rent out the bigger house and move into the garage, basically. I don't do any business out of there or work out of there. It's just my hobby. And it's huge. And I don't do anything in the winter because the cost of heating, it's just not worth the 2 hours I would spend in there a night. So basically it's a lot of useless space, and why not have somebody else pay your mortgage if you don't have to? So that's pretty much it. As far as snow and stuff like that, the snow's pretty much isn't going to change. It's the same spot it's been going in. Water drain off is everything that comes out of the gutters goes right into a system that's underneath the ground, and leaches out through there. And so there's
so
no
you-
runoff.
So you are collecting all your stormwater now, then? Is that what
Yes.
you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's been since we built the garage and the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all been collected. It runs off into the storm water drain system and everything else. So basically, there's nothing that we're really going to be changing at all to the maybe 10 feet of the outside structure, which is just going to be a porch. So, I mean,
The 10 feet that you're expanding,
yes.
is that currently undercover?
Yes, it will be undercover, yes. Actually, it's 10 feet, that's going to be the house. We're taking 20 feet in the garage and doing a kick out 10 feet. All right, so it'll be 30 feet of living space. And there's going to be a farmer's porch that wraps around, which will also be covered. And so it's basically 17 feet with I got a picture here. Did they give you any
Yeah,
pictures?
we've got it.
Okay,
So the increased space,
it
you're
will
gonna
be
have
actually,
increased roof
yeah, but that'll all be going to the same system.
going into the gutter, okay.
So, I mean, there's not gonna be any runoff on the ground or nothing.
Okay.
So, I mean, we pretty much, well, as you all know, it's 100% clay there. I had to dig 12 feet to get an 8-foot basement in the house, so, it was just, it's all clay. It doesn't drain well. So, we had to run everything into the storm drains and all that stuff. So, but other than that, it's basically the same thing as it always been.
Yep, go ahead.
What is you mentioned that it's just your hobby. Do you do something in there? I just wondered what that large garage is used for now.
Mostly store my old antique cars. That's it. The only thing I do in there, there's no drainage in there, there's no drains in the floor or anything. But like, I just work on my own cars. Nothing really that different.
So if the existing house now where you're living, there's no attached garage there?
No.
Okay.
No attached garage, nope.
Okay.
I built the garage separate from the house. Eventually, I knew I was gonna do this. Eventually, what I'm gonna do is, we'll end up taking the other 30 feet and probably building another place to rent out, and eventually I won't even live
Okay.
there, I'll just use it all as rental property.
And it looks like a pretty good-sized lot now. There's places for
Oh,
them to
yeah.
park, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
wouldn't have to add any more pavement or asphalt for parking or
No.
okay.
I mean, the only thing that I'd probably do is next to the garage, maybe put a stone base down, just so when I do snow removal, so I don't keep tearing up the ground. That's the only thing I would do. Well, I do it now because that's where I push all the snow on the side of the garage between S&J's and me on that side, and so it just makes it easy to dig into the ground, and I don't like tearing up the ground too
Okay.
much, so.
Thank you.
But now I really don't plow, I use a tractor, so it's easier. But,
Town water and sewer?
yes, National Water, Merrimack Sewer.
So as Jody was talking about impervious, so you're not gonna create new driveway then to service this, as in paved driveway or
No.
anything like that?
No.
Okay,
You can already park, it's 5,000 square feet of driveway, so you can already park about 25 cars in there, so
yeah,
there's no problem with the parking I have. Plus, the garage, even after I do this, between the lift and everything else, I can hold 6 cars inside. So I got more than adequate parking area for it without creating any more.
yeah, because our concern is the more pavement
Runoff.
put, you've gotta deal with that water.
Yeah.
And the idea is we'd like to get that water back in the ground or into the ground, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. We
without
got,
it impacting your neighbors, so, right.
Yep.
So.
actually, wish you did more better when that's Skips Marina.
Yeah, you've got water issues, yeah?
Well, lost 40 feet of my foundation wall when they were building the place, because he filled up his storm drain with 3/4 inch stone, which I don't understand why anybody would pack 3/4 inch stone in a storm drain, so when the muck and not line your area, because all that's gonna happen is all the clay is gonna go into the storm drain, clog it.
Clog it, right, yeah.
So I had a river going between my house and my hill, because he built his property 4 feet higher than me, and then poured all his drainage on that side. So it was not good.
Now, has that been resolved at this point?
He put tops up so it would, when the leach field would, the drainage thing would overfill, it'd go down the tops and down the side of the house, the property, into the street. So I don't think it's right, but
So, separate issue, you might want to bring that up with the planning folks.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Not trying to step on any toes, but
Right,
it cost
yeah.
me $30,000 to correct the problem.
yeah.
That's why I had to put a lot of the underground drainage in.
Yeah, well, usually when we look at stormwater systems, there's needs to be maintenance on the plans and maintenance opportunities and things that need to be followed, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Well,
I don't know if there's,
yeah. Questions, comments, concerns? So we need to make a recommendation to the planning board. Is anything special you want to bring up here? Seems pretty straightforward, right? Yeah.
No, I think he's addressed the stormwater concerns that we might have, so my only concern was increased pavement.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
we're not gonna have any. Matter of fact, when I do the addition, I had pavers down, and we're gonna be pulling them up, so actually we're gonna put grass there. So you'll actually even have more going into the ground and runoff.
Mhm.
I mean, the runoff in the center of the pavers went into the storm system anyway, so I kinda built it because got sick of water problems. Like I say, clay don't drain.
No?
It's not good there. But other than that,
All right, so I'll draft a letter letting the planning board know that we spoke and we went through all our concerns and they were all adequately taken care of. So, all right?
Good luck.
so thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'll put that letter together to the chairman of the planning board. I'll do that this week, so it'll be there when you have your meeting with them.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Great.
Well, thank you very much. You guys have a nice day.
Yeah,
too.
Night.
yeah. capture a few notes here, and then we'll get to the next agenda item. Okay, so that takes us to the next item under this section, and that is Derek Locke and Julie Jones. This is a minor subdivision of one lot into two. So I just ask that you sign the sheet there.
I already signed in when we
Okay.
got here.
That and then introduce yourself into the mic so that way our minutes taker has it. So
I'm Derek Locke, and this is my wife, Julie Locke.
Yeah, it's Locke now, not Jones. I know on here it said Jones, but
good for you.
thanks.
All right, basically the same thing. Les, give us an idea of what it is that you want to do.
So we're looking to subdivide our property. It's 2.5 acres, and we want to sell 0.92 acres to my neighbor and good friend for some capital to tear down our current home and build a new home a little bit further back on the property within the setbacks. There's a lot of water problems there. They actually, what made this possible was because the zoning changed, and now they brought city sewer up the road, and that's what made it possible. But they didn't bring stormwater catch basins all the way up. They only brought it halfway up. But the whole cul-de-sac, if you look on the map, is all pitched towards my house right now, and it's all just runs down in my backyard, and our basement is flooded multiple times if conditions are right. For an example, like this crazy winter we're having where the ground's frozen but we're getting rain in March, and there's nowhere for that water to drain into, and it just floods the backyard and right into the basement. But since then, I've done some grading and gotten it to pitch towards the bowl that surrounds our dug well, and most of it now goes that way. But that was like a year ago by the time that finally got taken care of.
On the print that we got, where's your current house?
So it's pretty close to the cul-de-sac. So at the very dead end of the Ingham Road, right where it says 41.51 feet, that's the house right there. It's within the setback, the front setback.
Okay.
It's
Yeah. Can you see it says existing house? Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Oh,
Got it.
Yep.
It's like a shed.
Yeah, so just for the record, the town is an abutter to your parcel.
correct, the Wasserman Park. And
Yeah.
then directly behind us is more conservation that I think is part of the Cambridge Society.
Yeah. So you have the Cambridge behind you. The town side is actually the Wasserman Conservation Area,
Right.
which is a parcel that we manage for the town.
Yep.
So just I wanted to put that out in the air so that everyone knew.
Yep.
So okay. All right. Usual type things. Wetlands on the property. Do you have wetlands? I was looking for the wetland markers.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So the property line that abuts Wasserman State Park, there is a dam that Natticook Lake drains into Greens Pond.
Yeah.
So that little stream or creek runs parallel to my property line.
Right, but that's also up and downhill from the
Correct.
property line, right? Yeah, okay.
But to fix some grading issues and make better use of my land at some point, and I'm assuming I need to I'm going to go through the right channels, but there's that hill part that goes down. I'm going to want to take like 12 feet off of that to pull into this giant hole in the center to make my property usable, where I want to put my house and have somewhat of level terrain around my house and yard.
Yeah, so you're planning to do that all within your property bounds?
Correct.
Yeah,
Unless Wassman wants to donate more, but I doubt it.
yeah, so that whole area, that conservation portion has some very strict restrictions and deed restrictions on it, so it'd be very hard for us to move forward and do anything to help you in that way, like more land or anything like that.
Right.
Okay, so, as well as dealing with water and stuff like that. If you wanted to move water off your property into ours, we would have to take a really good look at that.
Okay.
So,
I'm assuming that's part of what the storm management water plan would be, because
Well-
that was part of, it was one of the restrictions on here to getting an actual building permit.
yeah.
So I'm assuming I have to have a surveyor put something together that I'd submit to you folks, or?
So the town requires a storm water management plan, and that would go through the planning department downstairs, and that might be something that you have to bring to the planning board. Typically, when we see subdivisions, we see a storm water management plan that goes with it.
I see.
It's a separate document. It explains how you're managing the water. Is there any additional water runoff of the parcel or less, and how you're going to manage it, and things like that. So I would, I don't know all the detailed rules, but I would have thought you would have needed to have created one in order to go to the planning board with this. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was the step until I got this from the surveyor I hired,
Okay,
so.
all right. Now, have you had a wetland scientist look for wetlands on your parcel?
I haven't,
Okay.
that I'm aware of. I know when Higgins or Meridian Land Services
Yep.
sent the surveyor out to do his preliminary, check for pins and stone and bounds and stuff, he had sent someone from their company that works with the wetlands department to make sure it was or wasn't on wetlands.
Yeah,
But I didn't get any feedback from them regarding that.
because I didn't see a wetland scientist stamp the plans to
Right.
indicate that had been viewed or anything like that. So,
Your house is going to get relocated on this parcel?
Yes, sir. I plan on demolishing the existing house and putting the house we want to build further back.
Towards the center of the
Yes, sir.
parcel?
so you have town water and sewer now?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So we don't even use the well.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it'd be nice to try and keep it, and
Absolutely.
why not,
So-
right?
If you decide that you don't want the well, you should take a look at some of the DES recommendations on how to deal with the well that you don't want to keep. Okay. If you have questions on how to locate that information, just send them our way.
Okay.
Send your questions our way, and I'll help find, or someone in the office will help find the answers that you need. But if you go to the New Hampshire DES website and search for wells, or decommissioning a well, or covering a well, all those kinds of terms, you should be able to find what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So there's best management practices for that. So the idea is to keep the well from becoming contaminated.
Right.
So depending on how you cover it or cap it or whatever, or decide not to, is all important, because your well is fairly close to the whole aquifer system that feeds the town water system. So. So right now, the elevations on your property, they all kind of go down into the bowl as you describe it? Yeah.
Right.
And now is that where your parcel is today, how about the other parcel, the smaller one? Is that also part of the bowl?
The small,
Yeah. So when I look here, I'm assuming the bigger parcel is the one that you're planning to put your home on.
correct.
And
Sorry,
then, and
correct.
then the smaller one here. So what are the elevations like on this? Is that running towards your parcel, or is it kind of
No, much higher. So when they did the sewer project this last summer, and the contractor working with the town, and I think Kyle Fox came out and basically said they could stage all their equipment here, and I let them dump a lot of their excess sand and stuff in the ground. It's mostly rock, river rock, and sand in that whole area. I guess the Weathersfield Association, that used to just be a huge sand pit. But they dumped most of that right there and leveled it out and compacted it, and it's pretty nice and smooth. So it's much higher than the rest of my property.
Oh, so their water's gonna run into your property then?
Well, it kind of,
Just a little bit.
yeah, it's kind of graded back towards the Weathersfield Association, but there's so much distance there and not a whole lot of drop off that, I mean, I'd say it all is absorbed back into the ground.
Okay,
I mean, it's a puddle for a day or two. And, yeah.
okay.
I was out there this weekend on the property because I saw the plan and I went over there. So the snowmobile tracks, does that enter into your property?
So yeah, a couple of my neighbors have snowmobiles, and yeah, that goes through my property.
Okay. I was just trying to get I couldn't find the pins.
Yep.
So I was just following trails that existed.
Yeah, this back left pin that abuts the trails back there, that one's there. This back right one that abuts the Preventures, that one's missing. And then the pipe over here that's also abuts the town of Wasserman Park is there.
Okay.
Yeah, if your neighbors are snowmobiling out on the Wasserman property, tell them they can't do that.
Okay.
By deed, it's not us. It was written in when the land was donated or sold. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
I know we had issues with 4-wheelers out
Yeah.
there, and
Yes, we do.
I got a few visits,
Yeah,
and it's not me.
yeah,
I don't own a red one.
yeah.
We did a while back, but after we've had a few conversations,
Mhm.
it's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
So
That's fine. And as long as we're educated, I'm good with that.
Yep.
So, yeah. So. All right. I pretty much covered all the questions and concerns I had. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up? So thoughts for recommendation to the planning board?
Well, you had brought up some questions about this being subdivided and, what the planning board needs to see. Do you,
Yeah, so my questions are around stormwater management and how that's going to get handled. I'd like to see a little more information on that. And whether that's done at this point or before building permit, it's something that I would like that the commission makes a recommendation that we get an opportunity to view that plan, whatever that plan turns out to be.
all right.
So,
So I need to put that together. I'm
Well,
assuming
no,
resubmit it to
so-
you guys, and then
no, so I'm not going to ask you to do that. All I'm going to say is, as part of your normal process, I think there has to be something that addresses stormwater.
right.
And whatever you have to do to satisfy the town's requirement, we would like to look at,
Okay.
okay? So I'm not asking you to do any extra work. If the town asks you to do a hand sketch, then we'll review that. If they ask for a complete engineering report with color glossies and all that, we'd like to review that, okay?
Okay.
So, make sense? So we just want to review whatever you're required to do, so.
And,
And we-
is
and-
that something I would send to you guys electronically, or just go through
So when I
Amy downstairs again?
Yeah, so when I make this recommendation to the planning board, I will alert them that that's our desire. And then the planning department will make us aware, okay? So you shouldn't have to do anything more than you're already doing.
Okay.
And we as a commission will be very diligent in our work so we don't slow you down,
Okay.
okay? So,
We have a meeting with the planning board too.
Yeah, we have a meeting with them on March 1st.
right, yeah, so I would suggest before you go to that meeting that you speak with Amy or Diane or Jillian or Robert in the office down there and say, do I have a complete package?
Okay.
All right? And they can help guide you in the process. They're there to be your friend and help you, but also to make sure that we enforce all the right subdivision rules so that everyone in town plays by the same rules. So,
No, and honestly, they've been awesome.
Yeah, good.
They've been a huge help.
Mhm.
So, and they've made it pretty seamless,
Mhm.
as seamless as it can be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 'cause-
yeah,
Yeah, before the
Kudos to
planning
them.
board can really act, they need a complete package.
okay,
Now, I don't know what constitutes complete, that's their rules.
right,
So just, you probably want to touch bases and make sure, do you think I'm complete?
okay,
Okay? Because they also make a recommendation to the planning board too after they've looked at everything. And will suggest areas for improvement, things where there may be deviations from town regulations or not. Or even things that are positive as well. They point out the positives of your plans too, so.
okay.
So for me, it's mostly just dealing with how stormwater is going to get dealt with. I think everything else is pretty straightforward. You've already been through ZBA, so you have all your approvals to do this that way, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so. Sound good to you?
Yep.
All right, great. So I'll draft my recommendation to the planning board chairman, and I'll do that this week, and it'll be there and ready for you on your meeting in March. And if you want a copy of it, we can certainly get a copy of it to you.
Okay.
So you just, let me know, or let the ladies in downstairs know that you want a copy
I'll
of
talk
it.
to Amy.
Yep, absolutely. It'll take me a few days to draft it, but
Okay.
Sounds good.
great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
guys for your
Thank
time.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that takes us to our third item, and that's college-bound movers. And our friends from Fieldstone.
Hi.
He's got the thick packet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you know from the past, my name is Chris Gaida. I'm a certified wetland scientist and soil scientist with Fieldstone Land Consultants. And I'm here to solicit your opinion tonight, comments for college-bound movers. Here's the pretty picture. Here's the site right here, the aerial.
You're gonna need a mic.
Let's do this.
You can use that one there.
I feel like I'm in a karaoke.
Yeah, go for it.
You can turn this on.
You would not want to see that. So here's the existing conditions plan of the building. This area right in here is essentially where they're proposing to do an addition, which will match essentially the existing building on this side. So the hatched area here, 3,000 square feet, addition for office space, and there was an existing walkway here that's getting relocated to match, again, the mirror image here on the other side. So it's a pretty small addition for the size of the building and the area that they're in. The drainage systems here, there's a catch basin out in front here. The soils are like a Windsor and Hinckley soils, which are excessively drained. So as far as infiltration goes, there shouldn't be any issues with those conditions. Right now, there's like a lawn area here and a few trees. It's pretty flat throughout here. You can see some of the contour lines here. That's 196 here, 196, 196, 198. So There's not a lot of runoff coming off at this site. So essentially, they need some more office space. These warehouse units are taken up with their other operations, and they really just kind of want to match the existing one. I would have suspected that's probably the original plan of this building when it was constructed, but I'm guessing. But and the only other thing, I believe they put in 3 additional handicapped parking spaces.
So what's the hashed mark up at the top left side? It says,
Right here?
yeah, overflow parking. Is that actual parking area at this point?
Well, I believe it's more of a. There's no lines dedicated in here. It's kind of a snow storage. I think there's pavement, and then there's also gravel over around the perimeter here. So.
Okay. All right. So if they need additional parking by parking regs, that's probably where they would cite it.
Right. And they're, storage of materials, or, they have these, the mobile storage units and things like that. There may be an occasion where, they have to stage something and move it around, put it down, move it, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So how's water captured, planned to be captured off the new addition then?
The plan, as far as I understand it, is that this area is going to be maintained as grass.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll have, there's a doorway here. I'm not, I apologize, I don't have the actual architectural plan of that, but I believe there's going to be some type of roof drainage there that goes into an infiltration basin. And like I said, there's this catch basin here, which there is some slight pitch down there for some surface runoff if there ever was any during, as the gentleman said previously, with frost and no snow and rain, you do get some, but most of that will be grassed, and then again those will go into like an infiltration trench along a drip edge, or channeled into like a mini dry well, leach and catch basin.
Questions, comments? I could tell that you'd been in front of us before because one of your notes was looking closer, but not quite right. How's that? So on page 4, under erosion control, note 12.
Yep. Let me guess, is it straw or hay?
No,
or
no.
Fertilizer, maybe?
Fertilizer, absolutely. So the end of note 12, the first paragraph, speaks to fertilizer shall be, it speaks to low phosphate.
Yep.
So we like low phosphate, slow release nitrogen.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
Note 1, probably just for your there.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's only
It's
two.
just a typo.
Yep.
Hopefully it's not on the front page.
Nope.
It's good to get reuse out of your plans, huh? Especially this page. We'll almost probably put it on every one, right?
They're very similar.
Yes, indeed. Well, things I noticed were all covered. Anyone have anything else? It really is a small addition.
Yeah, I mean, it's given the usage in the area, I think it's more than appropriate. It's pretty straightforward, I think, to maintain maintain the value of the building and for their uses. So.
All right, so recommendation of the planning board. Looks like everything we brought up has been, and the only other comment is just adjusting the fertilizer note, correct? All right, so I guess that means we're all set.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank you.
visiting.
Yeah.
I'm still not used to this setup. And this chair doesn't roll. Yeah. No, it'll go to my head if you do something like that. All right, so let's move on. Old business and our target shooting ordinance. When we last met, I had agreed to take what we had for our draft ordinance and forward it to both the school board and the town council and try and arrange to get on their agendas to discuss this further. I did that. I forwarded to, I think I copied all of you on the forwards maybe, because that was a few weeks ago now. We're kind of out of sync. This is a 3-week gap, so hope you enjoyed your vacation. So. It hasn't been a vacation for me either. All right, so both bodies have the draft. I asked for comments if they had any as individual members to make. I did not receive any direct comments. I did start the process of getting on the school board agenda, which I put on hold last week, and we can talk about that some more. And I did not start the process to get on the town council agenda yet. Mainly because I wanted to get a little bit further along, and we wanted to be sure we had planning board comments to bring to the town council meeting as well. So since we met last, we did get feedback from the police chief in a memo form that I forwarded to all of you. The chief made comments in regards to the town's attorney's reservations with this, and also expressed a concern that he wasn't sure it was completely enforceable the way it was written or the way things are per his understanding. And so I wrote him back and let him know that I certainly don't want to do anything that jeopardizes the integrity of the police department. I wouldn't want to put them in a bad spot, and that I wanted to get some more questions answered, but we certainly wanted to continue to move this along. So since then, Jody has, on our behalf, address this with the town manager. I don't know if you want to cover that or not.
I didn't actually print out the document, so I'm going from memory, which isn't always the best. Did you print the document? I didn't have a chance.
This one?
No, the one that I received regarding what was going on in Londonderry.
I did not print Londonderry's document, no.
Okay.
But I may have.
Correct me if I'm,
Yep.
because you seem to have more brain cells working in conjunction with each other lately than I do. So correct me if I misunderstand this. Tim and I had conversations too about moving forward, because we know that this is something that the commission is behind and would really like to see happen. And we know is an issue that's currently happening on some of our property right now. So, but at the same time, it's like if we're going to do this, it has to be enforceable. We have to be able to do that, otherwise we're wasting everybody's time. So Tim and I had a conversation about moving forward, what's the easiest way, what are some of the more difficult things we could do. So I agreed with my role as being on the town council that I would reach out to the town manager and asked her opinion on what she thought about moving forward with this. And then Tim had suggested that we reach out to Londonderry. What's the name of the property that they have? Yes, because they're currently working on an ordinance now to see if Londonderry's had any issues with anyone being cited for target shooting, and if anyone's had any issues with somebody disputing it, or what kinds of things might have come up there. So our police chief reached out to the police chief of Londonderry, and I don't believe the ordinance has been finalized. Was that correct? So they don't have, the ordinance hasn't actually been enacted in place yet for them to give us any experience with it to date. So we're kind of charting new territory here. But
Yeah, so what I've also noted to everyone is that chapters 111, 128, and 142, which is the conservation, Horse Hill, and Parks and Rec, or Parks ordinances, have language in regards to firearms and controlling the use of firearms. So what we're asking to do is not new for Merrimack. So
right,
that was one item.
right.
And then the other item, the attorney had said that, one RSA may preclude the town from doing this, but also said that on town property, as property owners, there might be an opportunity to put this in place. So I asked Jody to speak with the town manager, who forwarded to the town's attorney and said, "Can you look into this further?" I believe is how that
Yes,
got done.
yes. And you haven't heard anything more,
Right. I've
because
not.
we're busy with some other things today
Right.
too, so.
That we'll talk about tonight.
Yeah.
It's been a busy.
So my guess is the town attorney will get to it, and I personally said, I want to do whatever I can to help facilitate communication between our board and the town council and the town administration. But at the same time, I am not the subject matter expert. So when somebody asks me a specific question about a specific rule or regulation, I go to Tim. So I basically said, Tim is the subject expert on this. I am not. So I believe that the town's attorney is going to reach out to you directly and speak. If there's anything at all that I can do to help facilitate it, I am more than happy to, but I don't have the knowledge about the rules and regs the way Tim does.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. So Carrie Ann, we've been keeping her very busy with a number of items between
Mhm.
land donations and tree cutting and everything else. So gating South Greater Road. So this is like the fourth or fifth item that I've got her
Yeah.
tasked.
Yeah.
And so I know she'll get back to me. Carrie's been very good.
Yeah.
So.
No, she is, and she's very responsive, and,
Yeah.
and she knows her material. But should she come back with something that we have an additional roadblock as a commission, you all need to be thinking about what it is. I personally, just my personal opinion, think it's something worth pursuing. And I'm not sure legally what that entails, but I hope that this group doesn't get discouraged by this opinion that was rendered to us, and that you keep plugging, because I really believe that preventing target shooting on our property is the right thing to do. So it's just my little don't give up.
I agree, especially after this weekend.
Yeah, you want to talk about that a little bit now?
So
It's perfect timing.
Yeah.
perhaps a little too close, because I had bullets flying over my head this weekend while I was out on the trail. But I had an incident, and the police responded and took care of it. Initially saying we really can't do anything. And I said, what about the piles of, stuff that they've left behind? So I believe they were issued a trespass and littering. So other than shooting unsafely, there are things that the police can help us out with, even without an ordinance. But I think the ordinance is definitely something we should pursue. The following day, Mike and I were out there, and again, there were people target shooting, this time at the place where they've been shooting consistently. These folks were shooting very safely. However, we're not interested in picking up their trash. So, to me, we have the littering thing. You know, everybody that goes out there and does it, nobody is being responsible about picking anything up. And like you said, Tim, it is our property, and we do have trails right behind where they're shooting. So, is it enforceable? It must be. There are things, there are RSAs that talk about shooting across trails, and that is, I don't care where you are, prohibited. So if they're shooting in that pit, they're very likely shooting across trails.
And you brought up two good points, because when we talk about our property, it's the collective our, and when this commission talks about our property, we're talking about the townspeople who we represent that everyone who likes to enjoy that property, and that's what we're talking about. And somebody who's just walking on a trail that's been created and is on conservation land, town-owned land, shouldn't have to be in fear of bullets hitting them. So I personally would think it'd be really sad if it came down to the fact that somebody had to get hurt or worse before we are able to do something, and I really hope it doesn't come to that. So I think I know there's laws regarding the safe discharging of firearms, and you talked about not shooting across trails. So if we've got to do a roundabout with something like that, then maybe that's the way to go. But the littering that's great. That is not something I'd even thought of, but you're absolutely right.
What I don't understand is how restricting somebody from firing their firearm or target shooting on our property, how that infringes on someone's rights to carry a firearm. I mean, there's a difference between carrying one and discharging a firearm. And we're not talking about hunting here.
Right.
I just don't get it why that's not enforceable.
Yeah, so let's let the attorney dig a little deeper.
Because 5 Babusick Lake is town property. Pretty sure somebody can't go hang a target on one of the trees next to the parking lot and fill it full of holes. So why can they do it where there's all the TVs and all the stuff smashed? You know, they feel, since there's all this litter there, and that's the gentleman that we spoke to on Sunday. He said, well, look at all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, we didn't put it there. But it makes him feel like, well, if this is all here, I can shoot at anything.
Right.
I mean, look, you were there 2 different days, right? Different people in different places, even.
Yeah, and Mike and I walked through the woods, and there's quite a few places where people have been shooting, because you can see the box that the ammo came in laying on the ground, and all the spent casings, in a number of places. So people are getting pretty far out in the woods, just stopping. And the one spot where Mike and I went out in, pretty deep in the woods, they were just shooting at trees. And all around them is trails. They were in the middle of a trail network, just shooting at trees. You could see the mark in the tree where they had just shot. And, they were shooting branches off trees. It was just, it's not safe. I understand that they want to get the letter of the law exactly right. But like Jody said, I don't want to have somebody, oh, geez, I got hit with a stray bullet, so now let's do something. No. Let's do something now.
Yeah, and this is an area of Greater Woods that's newer, a little more neglected, that we're going to be paying attention to. And when we improve that area, more people are going to be using that area. It's going to be, it'll be more known and more traveled, and something's going to be
and
done.
more chance for somebody to catch a stray bullet. And the both days that I was out there, the people that are getting there in two-wheel drive vehicles. It's not, you don't need a Jeep to get there. And the police were able to get there, no problem.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it is someplace where people can get, regardless of, ordinance, whatever we do, I think we should get signs out there sooner rather than later. Even no littering. No, we should start signing so that people get used to seeing what we have. Because I did have to go walk out and get the police to Wilson Hill Road. And walking back, there's no signs all the way down. And the gentleman that we spoke to on Sunday said, well, the only place that's posted is that one parcel on the left-hand side. That's the only place that's posted private property. So we don't shoot there.
Do we need to have signs made? Do we not have signs?
There used to be some signs.
The only signs that I'm aware of we have are carry in, carry out signs.
Yeah,
So-
we put stuff up.
Yeah, so
So
they
is
come
that-
in and so they pick up all their spent shells and they walk out with them, and we still have the problem.
So are we legally
Yeah,
allowed?
that's not going to happen
Right.
anyway.
Right.
Are we legally allowed to post them not to shoot?
I,
Right now?
at this point, I can't say
Yeah.
we're allowed to do
Right.
that.
What are the
I
legal,
think we are.
what are the legal places that they can shoot? I know there's a shooting range on Greens Pond.
Yeah, so there's the Horseshoe Fishing Game Club here in Merrimack. There's also the Nashua Fishing Game Club, which is off of Manchester Street, I believe.
Why
near
don't they
BAE.
go there? Do they charge money? or-
Yeah, oh,
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Members, yeah. Members only.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
memberships, and most of those clubs are full. It's,
Okay.
you end up on a wait list, and it could be a couple of years before you get in.
So I would imagine that it would be some sort of liability that the town doesn't want to take on to create some sort of targeted shooting area for people.
I would suspect that's true, but I'm not sure anyone's ever approached the town to do that. I think, in fact, my recollection is no one's ever approached the town to do something in a public way. So,
Okay. Well, I'm not going to do it, so.
yeah. Mhm.
But it's
So-
out there.
But, to your point, can we post it now? I think we can. We have people shooting across trails. I mean, there's a trail. We all saw it. There's a trail right behind where all of the junk is that they're shooting.
So if you can find the RSA number, we can create a sign that says no shooting in violation of RSA, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Okay?
Right,
That's what we
right,
can
but it's
do.
got to be specific to that RSA.
Right. We can say no shooting per RSA, blah, blah, blah. Now, they have to go out and research what the RSA says, but it could be a way to discourage it. I mean,
This is a
we can
town
find, I'm sure we can
RSA.
pick a fine line here, so.
No,
This
it's
is
a state,
this
that's a
is
state
RSA.
RSA,
Yep.
yeah.
Now, is that something that we should get made up now and post as soon as possible?
So I hesitate because I haven't had the conversation with the attorney, because so much has happened in the last week that I just haven't had that conversation. But you brought up something that I wasn't going to discuss with her, but I can bring that up. So
I guess having things go over your head brings on a sense of urgency.
yeah.
Mhm.
But
No,
maybe-
that's understandable, Matt. No one's, you're not being unreasonable or
No.
overreacting in any way, shape, or
No.
form. I don't believe.
Surprisingly difficult. This.
Yeah, I just haven't had the time to educate myself on all the different gun RSAs and stuff like that. I know I can Google Second Amendment New Hampshire and learn all about it, because there's enough places on it. And I don't fault anyone for that, for the proper use of firearms, but
Yeah,
this is not proper use.
No. No.
And that's totally, like, I remember at a fishing game club, like, I completely support, but when you're, I feel like people get out in the woods, they feel like there's nobody around, and they can just do whatever they want. That's what we're trying to discourage.
Mhm.
You know, if you go look at the shooting pit, there's TVs, propane tanks, and stuff. That's not what anybody wants.
Yeah.
And, you know, we educated the people that we met because they had things hanging up in trees.
Oh.
And we were like, okay, if you don't hit that tree, there's a trail. And we were on that trail before we came to talk to you. You know, so that, I mean, after they heard that, they were, oh, really? I didn't know. And I think most people that shoot there don't know that.
Mhm.
However, that RSA would inform them that, you know, and now that we own that property, before we didn't own the property.
Right.
You know, we urged the police urged the property owner to post it. They did. They posted it with private property. People, you know, didn't really heed that. I think if we post it with an educational, you know, you're not allowed to do this, here's this RSA, I think that might carry a little more weight,
Mhm.
especially where now we've had the police come out there. They know where this place is now. We spent time talking with the police and or I did anyway.
Yeah. And
Educating
they got
them.
to see the trash.
They got to
Mhm.
see it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they were like, wow, we didn't know this was here.
Yeah.
Now they do, and I believe all of the officers that patrolled saw it, because one of them, you know, helped me clean up some of the mess.
Mhm.
And we wouldn't have had that happen if you're not out there. If you guys weren't out there and doing that, we wouldn't have that happen. And I really believe that's going to help us in this effort. But I would just like to request we give it one more meeting and give Tim a chance to speak with Carrie Ann and see if possibly we could get something else in the works too. And then possibly our next meeting, we'll start talking and voting on signs and things. Because I agree with you, but I'd really like to get this outlying issue tied up so that we had a little bit better idea about where we were going with that. Because I still believe that that ordinance is something that we should shoot for.
Mhm.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So.
I didn't mean to do that. So I say when things are in the pipeline too, it's like, oh.
So, even in a perfect world, that ordinance is 2 months out.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Mhm.
to do something more immediate, we need to utilize the laws that are available to us today. So if you could, in the meantime, be thinking about signs and RSAs.
Carry in, carry out.
Okay, yep. All right, so if you could put a list of those things together so we can discuss them at our next meeting. Maybe do that over the next week. Hi, can I help you? Nope, that's next building over. Yeah. So
So if we can find one of those carry in, carry out signs,
we have a few of them downstairs in our file cabinet.
we could hang it.
We can hang those, yeah. We can hang those right away. So it's just a matter of going to not the cabinet against the wall, but the one-on-one, probably bottom drawer.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get into town hall sometime, but I won't be able to do that till Friday, so, to pick up the signs. I mean, if you want me to, I will pick up the signs and then we
No,
can
I-
coordinate.
Mm.
Okay,
I could-
I can do it.
all right.
That'd be a place to start.
Yeah. There's 2 or 3 of them in there, so.
Red and white?
Yeah, the white and black and red lettering, yeah, yeah, kind of like what we had at Wildcat Falls for a long time. So, there may be some no hunting signs in there for the properties that we can post no hunting, but this is not a hunting issue,
Mhm.
so we don't want to touch those, so. But yeah, if you've got thoughts on other RSAs like the trail one, if you can find that and craft some language,
I
then,
think I have it.
all right, well,
I'll get it to
for
you.
the next
Yep.
meeting, yeah. So if you can get it within the next week, everyone can have a few days to look at it before our next meeting,
Sure.
so. And anything else, okay? So let's work with the laws that we have. Yeah, I'm happy to spend some money on signs to get this thing kicked off.
You have to get extra signs too.
Yeah. Well, and
make a bulletproof.
having some of those signs created isn't going to prohibit us from having signs created if we get an ordinance
Right.
enacted. So we could actually put up both, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. But again, even in a perfect world, we're still 2 months away because there's a process to create an ordinance or to modify an ordinance.
Yeah.
So,
And eventually, I mean, if it gets posted and that area gets cleaned up and, you know, slowly, it'll take a while, but I would think they would get discouraged from using that area.
right, yeah, we still have that project that we want to get a vehicle out there, a dump truck or something to pick all the stuff up and throw it in, don't we?
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that was our missing members activity.
Yeah.
I'll ask Gage.
I
where
might
he is.
actually be able to get out in the woods and help now.
Yeah. Ah.
Slowly, but I can do it.
Aren't you glad you get to see that area?
Okay. Anything else? Cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, so next item under old business is Ned Pipeline, and mostly to speak about our attorney. So where are we, Cindy?
Yes, sorry I didn't send an email out. I actually just connected with the potential attorney today. So, she is available the first 2 weeks of March. So I know we can't do it March 7th because we have a meeting and there's a town council meeting on the 10th. So she could do the 8th, 9th, or 11th then, or anytime the first week, which would be February 29th, you know, and then into March. So I don't believe there's any meetings that week that we have that would conflict. And she's fine with an evening meeting because she typically does other things in the evening anyway, hearings and things.
Yeah, so the week of our next meeting is pretty full because the school district deliberative session's on the 8th.
Oh,
So
okay.
So there's
Mhm.
3 meetings that hopefully people
And
participate
I will be
in.
at all 3.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so will I.
I just had 2 down. Okay, so then the February 29th, that week, she's also available, anytime that week.
Okay, so in speaking with Eileen and passing it to Carrie, our attorney, Carrie, excuse me, Carrie felt that the right process is that we hold a public meeting for the first half where we interview and make a determination that Carolyn is an attorney we want to hire. And once we've made that decision and created that agreement, then we could end that meeting and go into a non-meeting and continue to gain advice from our then hired attorney as to how to proceed. Okay? So what I'd like to do is have this as its own meeting night, not try and combine it with our March 7th meeting because we need to do regular business that meeting. So, does that make sense? So, basically next week we could do it. I need to have a few days in order to post it. Technically, I need 24 hours. I'd much rather be able to put the posting up tomorrow, so that way people have a week to know what we're doing it. So, is there an evening next week that works best for everyone?
I can do the 29th, if you wanted to stick with a Monday.
Yep, me too.
Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? All right, so why don't you confirm
Okay.
with Carolyn the 29th at 6:30 for us to do a con call with her?
Thank you, Cindy, for doing all the work on this.
Oh,
All right, and once you have confirmation, then what I'll do is I'll draft the agenda so we can get it
Mhm.
publicly noticed. And then in the meantime, we'll have to work on the logistics of getting a speakerphone and microphone and in room and all that too. Because we'll need a place to do this. I don't know if anyone's got access to the town calendar. Is there other meetings going on the 29th that would occupy this room or the other?
The school board, I know, meets on the same Monday nights that we usually do, so I believe they met on the 15th, but
Yeah.
they only meet twice a month,
Yeah.
so they should not be meeting on the 29th that I'm aware of, but I don't know of any other group that meets on Monday nights, unless it's like,
Well, it's like why we're here. The Republican Town Committee had the other bill,
okay,
had the other room.
so I don't know, but do you want me to find that out?
We might be able to tell quickly.
There's nothing on the town calendar.
Okay. All right. So we stand a better chance then.
Okay.
I'll put out an email tonight to Kristen and let her know that we tentatively want the 29th. All right.
And I explained to Carolyn that the process, that it would be a public
Yep.
part.
Do you guys all know what a non-meeting is?
Non-public.
No.
Well, it's
This is
technically different,
Completely
No,
different.
but along the same lines. You don't have to keep minutes for a non-meeting. It's basically when you're receiving advice, legal counsel, as a governing body from your legal counsel, you don't have to, you technically don't have to post the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always encouraged the town council to post the meetings because I think that there should be some kind of a record of a public body meeting. But you don't have to keep formal minutes. It's basically it's your legal advice, and you don't have to make that public. And for obvious reasons, there are reasons why you wouldn't do that. But the meeting will be posted since we're going to have a public meeting first as well. But it is similar to a non-public. But a non-public meeting, you do have to take minutes, and
Right.
you can seal the minutes to keep them private, or not. But with this, you don't have to.
Right. And so for a non-public meeting, there's certain conditions that have to be met for you to have a non-public meeting. So when we have a non-meeting, it's legal consultation, which means that we're not going to be making decisions at that meeting to go forward. We need to make those decisions in a meeting that's been properly noticed, whether it's non-public or public, depending on the type of decisions we need to make. So it'll just be receiving advice and understanding and asking questions, okay? The making decisions part will happen at another meeting. That's a true meeting, okay? So that's
Which could be non-public or public.
correct, depending on the circumstance. So
Clear as mud?
Got it.
Yeah.
Close enough.
well, it's intentionally a little difficult because it's the public's business we're doing, and we
Yes.
want to make sure we do
Yes.
as much of it in public as possible. So, and I'm really good with that. So, I believe I forwarded all of you some advice from the Attorney General on non-public and right to know. That large, thick thing on a PDF I sent out. You might want to peruse that so you can understand the difference, because it is touched on in there as well. So, again, just to make sure we do the public's business correctly. So, all right, so we'll shoot for the 29th. That'll be good.
I'll send out an email when I have confirmation from her, just to
Okay,
Thank you.
ease your mind.
Thank you, Cindy.
yeah. Anything else on the pipeline for this meeting? Okay. All right, so that takes us to new business. So under new business, I had a discussion, we'll talk about our website, merrimack.outdoors.org. I was speaking with Wendy. Wendy and her husband helped us create the Merrimack Outdoors website originally. And Wendy and I, when we were putting the website together the first time, we had always said that we wanted to get back together again after a few years to see how things were going. And she had reminded me, and then all of a sudden I said, yeah, let's find out. So in our early discussions, one of the things we had talked about with the original website was creating a mobile-friendly version of the website, something we didn't do. And this time around, I'm thinking maybe we do. I don't know. I want to get some input from all of you. I also spoke to her that when I look at our website and I bring it up, especially on a small device, the top of the website doesn't change. You've got the map, you've got the links, and you've got stuff, and I always have to scroll on my screen, whether it's with my finger or a mouse, in order to get to the part of the front page that does change. And unfortunately, we don't have enough time to change it as often as we'd like, but it does change. So I was thinking that we need to restructure the website so that way when you get to it at first, you kind of see what's the newest information. That's would be my preference. Do you all have the same idea? So, but she had also said a mobile version of the website could be very different layout. So that way, depending on what device you use to access the website, it'll either give you the normal or give you the mobile version. I don't know if you've ever seen that happen. Have you ever gone to the Union Leader or the Telegraph or something else? If you go from your phone, it'll come up with a mobile version. Things tend to be very, one after another, not wide but vertically long, so you can at least scroll or whatever.
I'm just starting to get there.
Okay.
I'm not.
You do have a
Yeah, I
smartphone
know,
now.
but that doesn't mean I'm smart about it.
So,
Well, there's usually a link too to get to the main
Yeah.
page if that's what
Yeah,
you're
well, and you got to
with.
figure out how to get your internet going on there too, which is another issue. Or you got to figure out how to answer it when it's actually a phone.
yeah. Yep.
I would think that having access to the maps, although I don't bring my phone out into the woods when I'm out in the woods because that's what I'm trying to get away from, but I know a lot of people would like to be able to access maps, so I think that would be something that would be useful.
That goes to that town GIS stuff again too, right? Town GIS, I don't know where they're at now.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
Aren't you our liaison?
Well, I went to all those meetings, and then it just stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, so Wendy came back with this list of items. I don't know if this makes sense to all of you. Do you understand what these lists mean? Her first item was a site analytics overview, and that really is to learn more about the people that are coming to your website, what pages they visit. From there, we could then determine what areas we want to work on or potentially drop. Redesign the web page, kind of like what I spoke about, keeping the most fresh information, right there when you see it. Mobile access we talked about. Upgrading the software. I don't know. I find that the website is fairly responsive to me, but I don't know how about the rest of you.
It's fine.
Yeah. So one thing that we did talk about is volunteerism. I said I'd like to encourage more people to not only use our properties but also help with our properties. And I'm thinking the website is an avenue to do that. And then, quite frankly, we spoke about trying to reach out to the millennials, a different generation. I'm kind of one of the last of the baby boomers, but other generations, Gen Xers, millennials, and whoever else, they have different habits, different ways, different things they want to see. And frankly, I'm faceless. You won't find me on Facebook. I don't tweet. No Instagram here. Okay. I don't have a Twitter. It's all these other photo accounts. I just don't do it.
See, at least I have Facebook.
I'm a baby boomer. That's it. I get to see my grandchildren, and they send me pictures through messages. Isn't that novel, huh? So, I was thinking maybe we want to gear our website to the different age group users, and I think typically the millennials and things like that have more energy than I do. They certainly, some of them are more physically fit than I am. So let's try and encourage volunteerism in that group so they can kind of grow with the property, and we can leave a legacy. So I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I'm just wondering specifically what you're talking about and putting out there to do that.
So I don't know if our ways of social media or whatever we're doing, even with our website, I don't know if it's all that attractive to folks that are, 2 generations beyond me. Don't know. So should we solicit for what the average user would like to see, or the different users would like to see in a website?
Like, should the website be linked to a Facebook or a Twitter account? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me.
So
I'm not the one.
Would it be used? I don't know.
I think Matt Casper, I wish Matt was still here.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of really good turnout for his events because he's all over Facebook with them. And, you know, I think Twitter's kind of the millennial target. Facebook's kind of like the 30 and 40 something, I think, at this point. And I think that's who he's getting. He's getting that age range to show up to his events because he's all over. You know, he'll put something a week out, and then he'll put something 2 days out, and he'll put something day before, and he's getting really good turnouts to his events. And it's all social media. Well, I won't say it's all social media, but because he does also put out, press release.
Yeah.
But he puts that on Facebook too.
So probably a way that where someone could automatically view it without having to go to the town website. Like, in other words, they use Facebook, like be a friend or like, somehow get linked so they automatically get something from the town or from our website. So they don't have to
The
go.
thing about social media, though, is that someone has to be updating it all the time.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's a job for someone, and someone has to be monitoring it all the time. I understand there are privacy settings and things that you can put on there so people can't post things, only you can post things, but somebody still is going to have to be monitoring it and updating it. That's that's where a lot of people are. That's where a lot of people, and it's still amazes me too, is like that's where people expect to go for like important news and information about things, which I still don't think that's an appropriate avenue to take. But for something like this, I think a lot of people, we get a lot more attention than we're getting with our website, but it comes attached with more work.
Yeah, I mean, as Peter was saying, Peter from the Horse Hill subcommittee, Horse Hill Nature Preserve has a Facebook page, and it's fairly active. People are asking a lot of questions, and they're getting a lot of answers. Not from us. So, I mean, yeah, I stumbled upon it, and I was like, wow, most of what's being said right
subcommittee,
here,
that's not the
they
subcommittee,
have nothing
right?
to do with it.
No.
You know. Most of
And
the
you
stuff,
can't stop a
Nope.
lot of stuff like that either.
Exactly.
No.
I mean, most of the answers that are given on there are wrong,
Mhm.
but it's, who's
Yeah.
the Facebook police to say, hey, wait, get to the right person. So it's that would be a busy job,
Mhm.
not one for a volunteer.
Mhm.
Matt's group, they have somebody that I believe is probably, an owner of the Parks and Rec Facebook page, and they do a really good job of answering questions and getting out what needs to be said.
All right, so falling back to a website, is that probably our better avenue, because it's not expected to be as dynamic?
Yeah, and having a mobile option on it
Mhm.
Yeah.
would likely be good.
Should we do a survey? Should we put up a survey on our website? Maybe do a Survey Monkey or something like that? I said that right. See, I'm not that far.
Mhm. See?
I do get to see the Merrimack Facebook page because it has a non-Facebook avenue to see it, and I'll tell you, it's quite amazing what people will write on there.
Mhm.
There is misinformation, absolutely, and there's opinions, and opinions are great. That's what forums and stuff are good for. But misinformation does come out every now and then, and it has
And you're
tempted
being
me.
kind.
It has tempted me to want to join it and say, no, I got
stay
absorbed in that.
away
I got
from the
absorbed in
dark.
right. So
Don't go to the
Yeah, it's a
light.
black hole.
yeah, that's right.
That's a black hole.
Yeah, I've resisted so far.
Just call me, I'll talk you out of it.
My kids appreciate me not being on Facebook because they know I'm not seeing what they're posting. But it's amazing what people will post on Facebook,
Mhm.
and they think that no one knows. I can Google stuff that's been Facebooked years ago
Oh, I
and
know.
learn all kinds of things
know.
about people,
Yeah.
all kinds of things, and this
Right.
stuff lives forever.
It's not just kids too, adults do it.
Oh, I know.
I honestly think it would be a great PR tool for us, but I don't think we have the manpower
Mhm.
to do it right now. Even if we had full seats at the table, we might be able to pull it off, but I just don't
Yeah.
think it's.
Okay.
What if What if we have the forum, and the forum already has an audience, and I know that you're not on the forum, but, I mean, if we wanted to do monthly posts on the forum, just to remind people of what we have available, and to invite people. Quite honestly, I did not know until I joined the Conservation Commission that we had a website.
Yeah.
And I just went on it today and put it on my Facebook, like, hey, look at this cool thing. But I mean, if you wanted monthly updates or something like that, or occasional updates, I'm pretty well versed on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Instagram is more for the younger kids, not in my generation. So, I mean, Instagram is more pictures, and usually with Instagram you get, I mean, in the circles that I run in, we get like cats of Instagram and knitters of Instagram, so you could certainly get like trails of Instagram if you wanted to do things like that. But if you wanted something posted on the forum, I could certainly post on the forum for us.
It just comes with maintenance when you do that. You'd have to also spend the next 3 or 4 days watching it, because
That's
people
fine.
will ask questions.
I'm on the computer
Yeah.
most of the time anyway, so sadly.
Yeah, well, I'm on a computer most of the time too, but not for that.
They also have a lot of meetup groups now. I mean, again, you'd have to. You wouldn't have to run the meetup group, but if you're a member of a meetup group, like when Matt comes up with an event, we could probably send it out through potentially, meetup groups.
All right. So back to our website. Do you want me to ask Wendy to go to the next step and put a dollar proposal to what it would take to do some of these items?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So mobile, yes, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good start.
I think so.
Okay. And a survey are you going to make the survey very general and say, what would you like to see us do?
I'd like to have that option.
Maybe some yes, no's and then get to that?
Yeah. But what I hate about surveys is you get into it and you spend 5 minutes clicking. I would much rather have like a 5-question survey at the
Yeah.
most.
I
You
agree.
know. So.
Do we know how many people go to our website?
So that's why she talked about site analytics. We do know.
Yeah, we have number of visitors down at the bottom.
Yeah, and I can see a week's worth of time. I can tell you that we average between 100 and 140 visits per day of pages. I don't know when I look at some of the pages, because the analytics are very rudimentary. I can see some of the pages that were accessed most recently, and I see a lot of people poking around our property pages or downloading maps and stuff like that. So that's what I can see from my administrator window on it. But it's very rudimentary. I'd much rather understand much more about where they're going and what they're seeing, because that would tell us where we want to improve or concentrate. There may be whole areas of our website that are never getting visited, unless it's one of us, just wondering, well, what the heck did we put there?
Yeah.
Because every now and then I'll do that.
One-
That's right.
One view.
I'll click through all the pages just to make sure. Did I miss something? Should I have updated that page? So,
Trying to update those clicks at the bottom, right? You're
Yeah,
like,
right.
yeah.
My numbers were really good on Monday night.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I can try and draft up a survey that we link off the website. I can ask you to post that so people not only go to the website, but hey, tell us what you think about it. We can do that. I think our little contact thing where people can contact us, that whole thing is hard to deal with. That needs to go away. Not go away, but needs to be improved somehow. So, yeah. So I'll talk to Wendy about exploring this a little bit more. Hope you don't mind, but I'm going to have her look in that analytics thing. I'd like to know more about what's going on. So, and I think it just kind of probably needs a little refreshing, as in style. We picked one style; it seemed to be the best one at the time. So, but that really gets into preferences. So, yeah, we'll get some ideas, anyways. All right, and then volunteerism. We need to make it, I think we need to put that up there more. I don't want to put it in people's face that they feel like they have to go through an ad, volunteer before you can look at anything, but I think we need to have that somewhere early on when you see it, if you'd like to help out or would be a part of this, or however we want to phrase it, so.
It might be good, too, to have examples
Yes.
of what people can do, or examples
Right,
of
volunteer
this type of
opportunities
thing.
and give some specific
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, okay. All right. Good. Anything else? Great. All right, so that takes us to other business. So a number of things. This came back, the first item, do we want to take up a survey denial letter? I didn't agenda it as a real agenda item, but do you want me to?
Yes, oh, yes. Yes, I did read the minutes. I'm still up for doing it, just to cover our bases. And we could write whatever we wanted. We could just say even per the deed, restricted deed, we can't have somebody survey on this property. If you prefer to keep it not political.
Well, you don't have to say anything other than you're denied access for surveying, and you have to identify the parcel. You don't have to state a reason why. Gina and I both have the addresses for where we'd have to send things to. It could just be like 2 or 3 sentences. It doesn't have to be anything explaining about why or our position or anything. All you have to say is, and you could even possibly cite the meeting that they attended and say, we just wanted to follow up per our discussion at such and such a meeting and make it clear that you are denied permission to survey, access for survey permission. So, you guys all know that I think we should do it, but it's,
Yeah.
I'm just one.
Yeah, and so I put it on the agenda because Jody wasn't there at the meeting, but we were all there and we all made a decision, so I wanted to make sure that at least one of you wanted to put it back on the agenda, and if one of you say yes, then I'll do it. Okay, it's not like you're twisting my arm, just say yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, done. All right, can I ask you to draft some wording? You can also draft your own version if you'd like, and make sure that we all get it before the next meeting.
Sure.
All right.
Do you want me to take that, or do you want to do it?
Sure. No, sure. Thanks.
If you want to
I've
draft
done it.
both want to draft one, it's fine with me.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It's up to you. So.
Gina's an expert on
Yeah,
that.
that's what I figured. She'll have it done before we leave the room tonight.
The only thing I want to make clear is the actual parcel. Do you want to send me the specifics for the parcel?
Yeah, I can do
Okay.
that. Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that because I'm.
You guys will be an
overwhelmed.
awesome team.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm a little overwhelmed these days.
Yes, right.
Which we'll touch on some more. So.
And I would suggest you just find the date of the meeting and
Okay.
make sure that you cite the meeting that we discussed it and where we said, sorry, we're not interested. I just think that would be good to have.
Okay.
Yeah, and that'll tell you who was there and all that stuff. So. And have parcel information, I believe, as well. So, okay, next item then, land donations. So the parcel that is, that encompasses a section of Babusick Brook, 3B, I probably got that wrong. I won't say that it's in Area 6. So that parcel that we discussed, moving forward with the donation, it's a few acres next to some of the other lands that we have, that we all agreed to move forward with. I did get the land donation agreement all signed and initialed and everything, so we now have a legal document to move forward with. I have put in to have the public hearing notice put in the newspapers and properly noticed, so we will have that public hearing on the 7th at our next meeting. It'll be the first item on our agenda will be the public hearing for that donation. I don't expect there to be any issues with it.
Do you have to go before the town council to accept a land donation?
We do.
You do, okay. Just
So,
curious.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so the donation process follows the same as the purchase process. So
Okay.
if you remember what we did in November, for our other properties that we purchased, we held the public hearing, we properly agended it, noticed it for 10 days, we followed the RSAs. We, after the public hearing, took a vote, and we also went later to the town council where we presented it, and they had to approve the purchase. So
Thanks.
actually, it's accept the parcel, because the town carries some liability, whether we own it or not, so they need to accept that, so. So that's what we'll do. So what I'm planning on doing is finding a meeting in March for the town council and getting on that agenda, assuming that we're going to have a positive outcome. I mean, because the worst thing is we just say, well, not coming, you can have some of your evening back. So, so,
Yeah, March is getting busy.
yeah, I know. So the other land donation that I put on there when I said plural is Chestnut Hill. So if you remember the Old Blood development, which then became the Chestnut Hill development off of Old Blood Road, the two parcels that the developer was interested in us holding an easement or ownership over are the ones on the outside of it. There's a 20-acre parcel that abuts the school property and where we have an easement on the north side, and then on the south side, basically a couple of parcels are getting relayed out, and there's another 80 acres there that's half wetlands and half uplands, and it abuts some of our new property that we just purchased. Those two, I think we're at the point now where it's in DES hands to accept my proposal, which, as we've discussed at a previous meeting, was to have us own those parcels in fee, meaning we own them outright, and put a conservation easement on top of them that mimics what we've just did with our conservancy properties, outlining what can't be done, what can be done. And I believe all those covenants all reflect what DES has been typically wanting to see. So that proposal is out to DES, out to Lori, Summer, and Frank, who manages this district, and I haven't got any feedback on it. I spoke with the developer's representative this weekend and asked them to query DES to see if there's anything more they need, because the Chestnut Hill development people, the developers involved, want to move this thing forward and need to get their wetlands permit, and until this gets resolved, they don't get a wetlands permit. So, and I'd like to get this resolved, because before we put a lot of time in the 120 acres we just got, it'd be nice to put a lot of time into 220 acres and do it all at the same time. So we'll see. I think I've copied you all on my correspondence to DS. You've at least seen a copy of it. Maybe it would have been more than a month ago, probably 5 or 6 weeks ago. I know Mike sees it, because Mike and I have been working together.
I don't
on
know
this.
if everybody has or not.
I don't remember it, but
Okay.
doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. If you're curious and you want to see, just let me know. I'm not hiding anything. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'll learn sometime this week what DES is, what they're thinking. So, but Army Corps and EPA, which also has to be part of this wetland process because of what they're doing, is all signed off on it. So,
They almost immediately came back and said,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So really it's just DES?
Yeah.
Is Lori involved at all?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
she's familiar with us?
She is very familiar with us and with the parcels and the projects we've done, and she's worked with A&D. In fact, I put that all into the language just to remind her that what we're doing is in unison with what we did the last 2 mitigation projects we did out there with her. So I'm not asking you to do something different. The thing is that DES wetland rules changed. So,
Okay.
and that's what's different. So I think if those rules hadn't changed, then this would have been more of a slam dunk. Their preference now is to have ownership, separate easement covering it, so you have a check and balance. Wanting to put it the old way, put it all back together again. I think what works in our favor is that we're organized, we have money, this is part of a system that we already have in place, we have active volunteers, and I pointed to all those things.
Okay.
So I think the fear is that you set one of these things up, you set aside the land, and then it gets abused. Well, that's not going to happen here. We've got way too much momentum. The town is behind all this. We have the stewardship plan and everything else. So I think it'll go. But I don't work for DS, and I'm not sure what rules their managers enforce upon them. So we'll see. right? So that's that one. And that's all I have for donations at this point. All right. Next, South Greater Road closure and gates. This is in Kerry's hands, our town attorney. I've laid out what it is that we want to do, drew up some pictures, referenced RSAs, and just need her to go through the process to say that this is, I agree with what you've done and what you want to do, and oh, by the way, this is the steps that the town needs to take to finish it. Because basically what I've asked for is to take where we want to gate and just actually discontinue or declassify is the word, that section of South Greater Road. In other words, it's no longer a road. No class 5, no class 6, just it's not a road anymore.
It's underwater anyway.
Yeah, yeah. No emergency lane, none of that stuff. It just doesn't exist as a road anymore. It's completely bordered by our property. We own both sides of the road, and we're not, by doing this, in my opinion, we're not blocking any other property on that road to have access to their parcels by blocking it the way we're doing. So I'm hoping it's fairly straightforward. And Kerry seemed to think that way, but she's got a lot going on. So she had thought she would have been back to me by now, but that hasn't happened. So, but she keeps sending me reminders. I haven't forgotten. So I think she'll get to it. I think once it's no longer a road, the question of gating it is totally in our hands, because we'll own it as if it's all our land. When a road goes out, you carve it down the middle. Half goes to the property owner on one side, half goes to the property owner on the other side. We just happen to be the property owner on both sides. So the road becomes our land completely. So we can gate it anywhere we want. We can create it a trail, and whether we can reroute it to get it out of the wetlands, which would be the mitigation project one of the mitigation projects we presented to Kinder Morgan that they could help fund us do, which I think is going to be fairly expensive to do. That's something we need to do, because I don't want to stop the emergency access. We want to have that. But we don't want the four-wheelers. No more Jeeps, no more.
Jeeps.
Yeah. So, right. So that's where we're, hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have more on that. And we'll know what path legally we have to do with the town council, and then we'll work on it and go through whatever that process is. But I'm sure it's going to it's going to mean public hearings and a vote of the town council. So in some towns it would require town meeting, and it's too late to get to town meeting, but we have the luxury of being a town council form of government, so we can do it any time of year. So that's that item. Beaver policy gauges in here. There's not much going on there. I am going to meet with some of the neighbors of Handsome Drive. They really want to do something there. It's complicated by the fact that I don't know if you're familiar with the Handsome Drive issue. Maybe our newest members aren't, or Gina maybe not. So Handsome Drive is a development off of Severance Bridge Road, and it's a nice development. They have a series of wetlands. One of them is a large pond in the middle of it, and the road goes all the way around it with homes all the way around. Well, that wetland or pond, that level fluctuates. There's beavers living in it. They obviously want to raise the level because they like more water. But as they do that, they're blocking a culvert that the town maintains, which creates a large body of water next to basically a dam. The road is the dam. On both sides of it, it falls off many feet. So the roadway is a dam with a culvert going through it, and a second culvert that's at a higher level. So if the first one fails, it gets blocked, there's a second one. And the idea is that you get too much water behind you, you could blow out the dam, blow out the road, and that would be a bad situation. So we're trying to control the beavers so that they don't create a bad situation. But the neighbors enjoy having the beavers and the wildlife. They enjoy the activity. They also enjoy the pond. You can skate on it in the winter. And what I've learned more recently is that without hydrants in the area, the pond could become an emergency water source. Just a possibility. So they would like to find a happy medium where they can have a pond, they can have the beaver, and the town can also rest assured that its needs are met. And that's what we're working on. And because they own the pond, who pays for the device? Is it the town? When I went looking, there's no easement. It's just on the subdivision plan that says the town has rights to trespass to control water. What does that really mean? So there's legal questions there too. So I'm trying to work through it. Our plan is to put a device in there. I'd like to know who's the right person and who's the right person to say yes or no. It might be 43 landowners that have to all get together and say yes or no. Yep. And there is no homeowners association, so there's no regular ways to do that. So it's complicated. But apparently I've got a couple of energetic neighbors who want to pull this off. So
Good.
So if they do, then hopefully we'll get there. So that's where that is. Also, I forwarded to all of you that Mike Callahan from Beaver Solutions has forwarded us a memo about his work that he did in 15 and give us an invoice for 16. I plan on agendaing this for the March 7th meeting so we can vote on moving forward with this. We've done this in the past, so if you have any questions on this, get a hold of me, or more importantly, get a hold of Gage. He can certainly explain it much better than I can. So
The invoice for 16 would be new devices and maintenance on the old devices?
well, right now, he's given us an invoice just for the maintenance.
Just for the maintenance?
Right.
Okay.
I believe that the town, and maybe even us, want to consider some new devices.
Mhm.
I think we still have, one or two more that we need to put in on our own property? I'd have to go back and look at the report.
I think it's more like 4.
Well, the town has quite a few, but I'm not sure if we have a whole lot more to do. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I looked at it, so kind of left that to Gage.
Yeah, he would know.
We'll wait for the Beaver Commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the expert.
Yes, we will. All right.
We can say anything we want.
So a few more things have happened more recently. We had a issue with trees getting cut.
That was fun.
Yeah, so for the public to know, there's been a number of interesting things happening over the last week or so. Peter from the subcommittee first alerted us that there was some trees being cut near the Quarry Trail. The Quarry Trail is a section that we have an easement across some 2 properties that form part of Wasserman Heights. When I first looked at the pictures, I thought maybe someone had just dropped a few trees just to do something down in that area. And then Deb discovered that, and Peter, that there was a whole lot more to it. So I don't know if any of you have gone out and looked. I did snap a bunch of pictures. I have them on my computer. We could bring them up. We could look at them. But essentially what's happened is that along that border where the Quarry Trail is, there are 2 separate parcels. The town created a 100-foot no-cut buffer along that common border, which on the first parcel is just one side of their property. The other 3 sides not involved. The back parcel involves 2 sides of their property. Kind of forms an L shape. The part on the east side is the one that we have our trail in. And the trail is only goes in a few hundred feet onto their property. There's a lot of acreage there. But the no-cut buffer goes all the way and then wraps around the other side. The other side, I believe that no-cut buffer was put in because the abutters in the neighborhood on the other side of it wanted to have some separation between them. And they were afraid that if all the trees went down, there'd be 2 backyards to backyards. And I think there might be some other things going on in there as well. All that happened back in probably 12 years ago or so. And I wasn't following the planning board as closely back then. But essentially what happened is the newest landowner who purchased that parcel in October of last year decided that they wanted, and I'm hearing this third hand, wants to have a fence going around the perimeter of her property, so decided to hire a contractor to do all the right things and put it all in place, and started cutting basically an 8 to 12 foot wide path all the way around the perimeter of the property, right through the no-cut zones. And so most of the path has been cut. I did approach the landowner homeowner on Saturday. She spoke to me very briefly before she closed the door. Told me that she had a contractor, paid a contractor to do this work, and was concerned that how could the town tell me what I can do on my land. So essentially what happened since then is we alerted the town. The town needs to act on it because the town holds the easement and the no-cut buffer. Today, I believe a police officer delivered a note to the homeowner to say cease and desist, and the town's attorney's involved, and now we need to find out how we remedy the situation. I don't think the town wants to be bad neighbors, but trees are gone. Part of the trail, Quarry Trail, was damaged. I'm concerned that the way the thing was routed and the steep slopes that are involved, that there's going to be issues with erosion and drainage, which wouldn't have happened if the path hadn't been cut. So, yeah, lots of questions still, but from my understanding is that the homeowner's been informed to stop any more activity. And yeah, so when you follow the deeds, it's understandable how she got to where she is with this. But the property lines were all marked, it appears to be surveyed, so someone put some energy to figure out where to put this thing. They should have done enough research to know that they were in a no-cut buffer. So the language in the deed isn't blatant. It says refer to subdivision plan. The original deed said there's a no-cut buffer. Somewhere along the change of ownership after 4 or 5 owners, that language kind of got dropped. It just says refer to the plan. So, whatever.
It was just nice that we received response from town employees over the weekend. So our town employees were very responsive because Tim reached out to me and I reached out to who I needed to reach out to, and I received responses right away, even though it was a weekend.
Yeah.
Because we were concerned about this morning having additional work being done, and we wanted to make sure that we prevented that if at all possible. So town staff was very responsive
Yeah, absolutely.
and did a great job once they were alerted.
Mhm. Yeah, and Deb and other folks of the subcommittee being
Yeah.
involved and keeping an eye on things. I know Newt and others have been involved now today as well, taking a look at things. So
Just like when mapping it, we wouldn't know if people weren't out there and reporting back, so.
So there's obviously going to be more to come on this, but hopefully the activities stop and then we can figure out what to do next. So that's that. ATVs on Horse Hill.
There was a report that there were ATVs on Horse Hill. We went out and, again, Peter and other members of the subcommittee, along with just users of the property that know the property very well, followed the tracks of an ATV, of side-by-side actually, which is a rather large 2-seat ATV. And they clearly go to somebody's backyard. The police were able to visit that yard and speak with the property owner, and apparently it wasn't him, and that's where it ended, unfortunately.
ATV use, motorized use is not allowed on Horse Hill Nature Preserve, right?
Correct.
I just want to make sure that some people may not understand that, but there is no motorized use
Anywhere
on Horse Hill
on Horse Hill.
currently.
Right. There is in the plan an avenue that can be taken to have that happen, but no one has followed those steps. And until that happens, there's
Right.
no motorized use on
That
on
avenue
Horse Hill.
has not been taken.
Not
No
been
one's
taken.
taken advantage of it and stepped up. So
Right.
right now, it's not allowed.
Not allowed.
Thank you.
Yeah, the tracks go right by several of the signs that say no motorized. The person that was operating it knew that they were not supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, to keep an eye on it. There is. I guess if it happens again, maybe we'll ask them to smile and say cheese as they go by.
Between ATVs and shooting, Matt, huh?
Yeah.
It was a
You had a
great
good
weekend.
weekend. Almost as much fun as Tim.
This volunteering stuff is just awesome.
Don't say that. She's going to leave.
Yeah.
Third meeting and she'll be gone.
And
Who wants to be full-time on this commission?
your poor trail there.
So that is all the other business I have, which was almost a meeting in and of itself. Anyone else have anything other they'd like to bring up?
I do, about Greater Woods and continuing trail use by folks that would rather not have on our trails. On the 16th, the subcommittee met, and we discussed managing the trails that we've inherited on the new parcels. We would like to manage them consistently with how we've managed trails on the parcels that we've owned for a number of years. However, I think it's going to take us a while to edit the documents and restructure the stewardship plan to include those parcels. So I guess the question that I have for the Conservation Commission is, can we go about signing and managing the new properties the way we've done the old properties and the old trails on those properties without having to update the stewardship plan first and go through all of that and resubmitting it to the MCC, resubmitting it to Town Council before we can actually manage those parcels? Or what is the appetite of the Conservation Commission, I guess, is the question I'm asking as a member of the subcommittee.
Thoughts?
I have a question. I don't see personally a problem with managing the trails, but my question is we've got classifications of trails out there. I would think that classification of the trails would have to be a little bit more of a formal process than managing the trails. Disagree with me if I'm off base, but I would think managing the trails would be fine, but I don't know what kind of signage you're talking about. If there's prohibited use because of a trail classification, I don't think we're there yet. Do you have something else in mind by when you say manage? Could you give me something more specific, Matt, that you're thinking about, that you'd like to do, that you feel like you can't do?
We'd like to prohibit access on, or discourage the use of bad trails. Mike and I
So you're talking about closing
closing.
trails off?
Yeah, well, if you want to call them trails,
No, I get you. Yeah, I'm familiar enough with that. I know what you're talking
most
about.
people would call them wetlands.
We don't need something formal in the stewardship plan to
Nope.
do that, do we?
No.
They could do that, can't they?
So my thought is this. The answer is no. We don't have to update the stewardship plan to go because those parcels are completely under our ownership, where Greater Woods was a mixed bag of easements, town ownership, and Conservation Commission ownership. Granted, it's still all public land, but and I don't mean to minimize that. So I would propose that you map in some form the new properties. Bring back a proposal that says this is the system that exists today. These are the ones that we think we should continue and why. These are the ones that we think we should stop and why. And if you want to go as far as classifying the ones you want to continue with, and then do that. Bring that proposal back to the commission. The commission may want to do a field day and go out and take a look. Or participate in field days that you're running if you want to do field days on your own. And then we take it up. So I could see that in a month or two, maybe sometime by May, we could have a new system that we could readily mark or unmark and call it a day. And then go from there and because we have, the classifications have all been defined, so when you come back and say this one should be a Class C trail, or a Class D, or a Class B trail, or a Class A trail, and you say why, if it meets the criteria, then it should be a slam dunk. Right.
Well, the two trails that, or the two wetlands that exist now that are being used as trails, I don't think they should be classified or exist, period.
Right.
So,
Right, but that'd be something you propose closing.
Right. Yeah.
That would be a responsible thing to do, would be trying to close.
Absolutely.
yeah.
To
Close
craft
wetlands.
something like this, as an addendum to the stewardship plan, you don't need the town council to weigh in on that, do you?
I don't think so.
No. No, so it shouldn't be that difficult, I'm
Okay.
thinking.
We obviously want to let people know what we're doing. It's
Right.
not- I mean, our meetings are public, but we
Yeah.
would be beyond that. We would inform them, we would pass them, say, hey, these are the new properties, this is what we're doing, this is what we're moving forward with. If you have a concern, we'd be happy to come visit with you. Right?
And you know, the ATV organization that we've been working with, there's a member of the Right Riders that's on the subcommittee, and we explained to him, you know, this is what's going on out there, and he said, yeah, that's not something that we're interested in at all.
Yeah.
He said that, you know, those aren't trails and shouldn't be trails. So even the motorized organization that, you know, belongs to the subcommittee and has visited the Conservation Commission a number of times agrees that what is being used should not be used.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty straightforward. The reason why I say come back to the commission is this is the big public meeting. So we're doing everything in the open.
Yeah, and we did agenda it at the subcommittee meeting as, you know, classifying or reclassifying or declassifying trails. I forget how it was agended, but it was public.
All right. Yeah, if you could put some info together and tell me what meeting you want to be part of, then we can do it.
Maps are good for visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and pictures, I think, would be
Yeah.
speak
Yeah.
volumes.
So let's just touch on that. If there are evidence of people going into wetlands, close it off. Right?
Right.
Agreed?
Well, I mean, Mike and I were out there on Sunday, and
Yeah. We'd be bad stewards of the property if we didn't make an attempt to stop it today or whenever we can. But beyond that, the other trails, I think that needs to be discussed.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, 'cause that's what I'm concerned about. We're getting to the point where they're ideal for that kind of use for people who like to do illegal things like that. So, right?
and again, not that I want signs everywhere, but I think until we get a handle on what's going on out there, we need to sign these areas. Not that people don't understand they're doing the wrong things, because I know they understand they're doing the wrong things. But I think what they need to understand is people are now watching.
Right.
So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Is that what you want? What we proposed? Close enough?
Sure.
When's your next subcommittee meeting?
March. Calendar ready? 15th. If anybody's looking to weigh in on this, please attend.
Where do you have those and what time, Matt? I haven't been to one of those in a long time.
6:30. Whatever meeting room is open.
Do you have one you usually go to?
We try for the memorial.
Okay,
A lot of times we end up in the community development.
okay.
Yeah, I would say stop bad behavior if you have the energy to do that, time to do that, so.
Okay.
And then,
Eventually, you know, to timeline-wise, eventually you're going to see a proposal coming for a contractor to do what we had the contractor do this past year on a couple of these trails. But I understand there's a ways to go before we get there.
Yeah, can you get the 2 signs out of my backyard?
What's this? The kiosk?
Yeah, the big signs that I have.
Oh.
The loop trail sign and the other.
Jeez. Yeah, that's going to be a contractor to bury those
Yeah,
things.
that's fine. Yeah.
What's your problem?
I can send you the pictures of them again if you'd like.
No, I know exactly what they are.
But
I moved them
If it will help
around.
move it along.
I moved them around a couple times.
They're pretty big.
They're big.
I mean, if we need to deliver them so they can get repainted because they've kind of gotten weathered, then let's do that. You know, if we want to bring them to Mr. Alfred Tractor or whatever, you know, and then bring a proposal here to spend the money to insert them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that needs to be done with real mechanical, auger, the whole 9 yards, because you're not digging those posts. That's why they're still in my backyard, because no one wanted you to dig those holes.
No.
All right, anything else, other business?
Actually, I just forwarded this to you today, Tim, so apologies I didn't do it sooner. We had an alternate member resign from the subcommittee, so I wasn't sure what the process is, where I know we announce, right, there's
Yeah?
an opening, but I didn't know if it had to be formally agenda'd. Or
So I lost track. Who resigned?
Angela Martin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just the beginning of this month, but due to time constraints,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I think she still does a lot on the property, but it's hard to
All right.
make stuff, so hopefully she'll come back.
Yeah, so we probably should craft a thank you to Angela. Is that something that someone can put together and we can? I know we haven't done a good job of doing that when people.
I mean,
resign.
I did send her an email.
You did, okay. All right.
I don't know if it's written as well. It's probably not as what
Yeah.
others would do, but I can
You get a boom.
I can send it to you what I sent to her.
Thank you, you just get a boom.
I know, right?
Boo.
And I believe
Yeah.
Deb
Town's way
replied
nicer.
as
Yeah.
well.
Historically, Becky has sent a thank you.
For
The subcommittee?
subcommittees? Not subcommittees.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
not.
Not subcommittees.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, they're pretty much our bodies. Sorry. So, I don't know. Do we want to start doing something? I don't know how you want to do it, so. I mean, I certainly appreciate people's.
Do you
effort.
need to formally accept somebody's resignation from a subcommittee, or is it not that formal?
Yeah, I don't think, we're not that
Okay.
formal, so. Okay. Yeah, I'll put something on our agenda for our next meeting, and then that way we can be a little better at it.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Going to be a busy meeting. All right, anything else? So next are minutes, February the 1st, 2016.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of February 1st.
Is there a second? All right. Seconded by Matt. Any corrections, adjustments, changes? Go ahead, Jody.
Thank you. On page 6 of 14, line 46, shooting complaints is just missing the T. Page 8 of 14, line 39, I believe the letter A should say is a very New England thing. Page 12 of 14, line 44, I believe the ED was left off of kicked, been kicked around for some time. And that's it for me, thanks.
Anything else, Cindy?
I did watch the meeting. I didn't read through here, except that I noticed that it was missing that I was excused from the meeting.
Oh,
No?
Well,
It
it
says
says
members
it
of the
says
commission
that
absent.
I was absent, but doesn't say that I was excused from
Oh.
the meeting. That I just wasn't blowing it off.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it should say, I believe I brought it up.
Did you? Okay. It might not have got it on the video. It wasn't on the video, but
No?
I think the beginning of the video got cut off. So maybe it got started a little late, but. So.
Yeah, all right. So we'll,
You did, you always do. You said
Yeah.
that Cindy was excused.
Okay.
all right.
Just-
Yeah,
Should we
so-
replace absent with excused?
No, you say she's absent, and then after Chairman Tenhave introduced, then he usually makes the comment, so it should be probably line 27.
Right, somewhere around line 27.
And it looked like the beginning of the meeting got cut off.
Yeah.
But,
He had your back.
okay.
Yeah,
I
sure.
figured. I just don't
You
want
should have
anybody.
heard what we were saying.
Yeah.
It says never excused.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah. Just like I did tonight with Gage.
I know. I heard you, and I thought,
Right.
you didn't say that about me.
You know you abstain on these, right?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Interesting point, but I don't agree with that.
Okay,
I don't know, probably people didn't hear you.
okay.
I think if you're absent and you vote on the minutes, you're voting on what you've read, okay? Especially if you've watched the video, you might feel that you have enough information to vote on them. You also may feel that you don't, and you're welcome to abstain or whatever. But that's my opinion. You can do what you feel most comfortable
Yeah,
doing.
and I disagree with the chairman, respectfully, of
That's
course.
fine, yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe if you're not present at a meeting, that you shouldn't be voting on the minutes.
Yeah. So, we all have, that's what makes this country great, doesn't it? She said that without even hitting me.
I never hit you, Tim, maybe once.
All right. Anyone else have any corrections or adjustments? Mike, Matt?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Page 2, line 37. This is a typo, the space. It should say the area instead of diarrhea.
Yeah.
The space is just off. And also page 8, line 50. Chairman Tenhave commented when he reading the language. So when he read something's missing there.
When he was?
Yeah.
When he was reading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The word was, add the word was after he. And that's it, and get the last 2 pages. That's all
Matt?
for me.
No changes.
Gina? I don't. I'll be honest with you, I didn't read through them all, so I will choose to abstain tonight, by the way.
Oh, I can see where this is gonna go. Tim Tenhave.
We're having way too much fun here. All right, so all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye. Okay. Opposed? Abstentions?
I didn't read them, so.
So that passes 4-0-2 with Cindy and Tim abstaining. All right, that takes care of minutes. Public comment, the public has left. They're missing all this fun. Commissioner comments. Gina, anything you want to add?
I think so. I think second meeting, I'm still here. I'll
Okay.
be back.
Yay.
All right. Matt? Cindy?
I just wanted to, in case anyone hadn't heard, I did attend the Fish and Game Commission meeting this past Wednesday, and unfortunately, they decided not to follow public opinion and voted to go ahead and go forward with the bobcat hunting, hounding, baiting
By one
season.
vote, right?
Well, one commissioner was absent, so it was 5-4. However, the chairman doesn't vote unless it's a tie. So if it had been a tie, he made his feelings known. He would have voted for the Bobcat season. I mean, I believe he's a trapper himself. So that was unfortunate. However, it's not final yet because it still has to go to a committee. It's called JLCAR. It stands for Joint Legislative Committee on Administrative Rules. And there will be a hearing. People are allowed to speak. And I believe it's going to be on April 1st. But I'll know more for the next meeting, to find out. And I have heard a lot of landowners say they're going to post their land against all hunting because they're so upset with this. One of the commissioners did change his vote from previous. He stated he used to be a representative, the House of Representatives, and he changed his vote to oppose it because of public opinion. I mean, the hearing, it was a historic hearing. You typically sign in for anyone who hasn't gone to these hearings. You sign in whether you're for or opposed to whatever the issue is. So there was a line of people to get into Representatives Hall, which is where this was held, wrapped all the way around, So a lot of people didn't get a chance to sign in because they were starting it. So I think 500 or 600 people attended, but only maybe 300 signed in because we just wanted it to go. And there was overflow in the top. I actually had to sit up top in the overflow room. But of the people that signed in, the majority of them were opposed to the season. The Fish and Game Commission received public comments, people emailing them, 5,000. The majority of them were opposed to the season. So hopefully something can be done through this JLCAR thing. But that's all I had.
If there is hunting allowed in Horse Hill, is there trapping allowed?
Trapping anywhere is done by landowner permission. So no one has approached us to get permission to trap.
It makes me wonder, what about baiting for the purposes of hunting or trapping?
On your
On our
so
properties.
not on your own property. It also requires landowner permission, I believe,
Yeah.
because we were approached for baiting on Fields Farm. I explained to the person who was interested that they needed to come to one of our meetings and have a discussion and explain what it is they wanted to do and how long they were going to do it and what it was all about. And when he realized he needed to come to a public meeting to tell everyone that he was baiting for black bear, he decided not to do it. Which would happen again if someone came to Horse Hill and they wanted to bait or trap, they would come to a public meeting and get permission. In Horse Hill's case, though, the permission would have to come from the town council in the long run. I would hope that the town council would let us weigh in since we're the management body. So Fields Farm, it's our property, so I was pretty clear. So that, I think, has pretty much prevented anyone from wanting to do it because it requires a public process. But I expect there'll be a bold person one day who will want to do it, and that's the way things are. So
Does that include hounding too? That they would have to come and ask permission?
I'm not familiar with the rules around hounding, so
Imagine they'd have to come.
you'd have to find out what's in the Fish and Game rules or RSA's.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, yeah. Mike, anything?
No comment?
Jody, no? I don't either. Next month's certainly going to be an interesting month politically and town meeting-wise. Please participate. It's We the People for a reason. And with that, I'm ready.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Gina, seconded by Cindy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All right, that passes 6-0 at 9:01 p.m.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Don't forget to turn your mic.
At that point, we would probably pick one of the schools. The school administration is going to have a decision on that, which school they want. We've already spoke with them. They are totally in support of this grant. They know the importance of everybody working together, trying to find out if there's any holes or any issues or any problems now, and try to correct them for the safety of our children. The grant, I'm still waiting for some information from Concord, because Concord ran a similar one at the Concord Hospital, along with the Bedford Police Department, their grant, so I can see the total numbers. But from what I've been told, it's somewhere in that $60,000 range. But if we take away the consultant, so we're looking about, it's going to be somewhere around $40,000. What does that cover? The fund covers basically overtime for the officers to be involved, and also backfilling positions of first responders. That includes the fire department. Also, planning costs, such as overtime being spent on budgeting, planning the exercises. Supplies like printed material and handbooks, and also food. So any event, any seminar or workshop or live exercise that's 4 hours or more comes with food. So they cover that expense, along with a location that you have to rent, because there's a good chance we might have to go to the Regional Planning Commission and use their rooms. If that costs anything, we'll pay for that. If not, we might go to Charest in Bedford to run the table exercise. But that's basically it. I mean, right now it's kind of uncertain exactly the total amount, but from what I'm being told, it'll be somewhere around that $40,000 mark minus, or I should say $60,000 minus the 20 from the consultant.
We just recently had a meeting last Friday morning with Superintendent Chaffrey and their Emergency Management Director, Les Carter, former principal at Thornton's Ferry School, regarding the grant, and gave them more or less the same overview of what we were going to present tonight. They're very, very supportive. They know how much hard work we've done leading up to this point over the last few years, and they recognize, like we do, that the partnership that we formed, this is really the next logical step of where we need to go. We've done just about everything we can up to this point to bring everybody together in terms of preparedness to this point. And it looks like that this is going to be the capstone of all of our hard work leading up to where we are right now. And again, it's going to give us a good metric as to where we need to go at that point afterwards, too. When we put that after-action report, I think it's going to be very revealing. Shows us where those gaps exist and what we need to do to fill them, so that we're prepared. Like Captain Dudash said, it's all about what we are going to do to try to maintain that safe learning environment for our kids. And our kids are probably nowhere else during the course of a day more so than at our community school facilities. And then we agree collectively with the school district that there's probably no more important piece right now than to address this issue and make sure that we're ready to do what needs to be done, knock on wood, and God forbid that anything should happen, we'll be ready to handle it.
You know, for the functional exercise for the 2015, what's nice about the table exercise and that exercise is that they actually have 4 to 5 evaluators that are very, very blunt and very, they'll critique you and they will really tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And I think we need to know what we're doing wrong so we can correct them if there's something out there.
Great. We'll go with you this time first. Councilor Dwyer.
It's I can't help but feel just a little sad that that this subject matter is here for us, and the fact that I look at you two guys and I think, could you have ever thought when you first started your job that that this kind of scenario would be out there? But it's here, and I just wanted to acknowledge Chief, you and the whole team, as I know you've worked behind the scenes and without any fanfare over the last couple of years, doing an awful lot of work. And I know people at home, you're probably just too busy, and you're not that you're not paying attention, but the fact that your department has really been really involved since the Newtown shooting. And as you said tonight, that our officers randomly at no set time, but that our police officers are visiting our schools every single day, and again without fanfare, and a lot of hard work and a lot of planning has gone up until this day today. So I'm 100% behind this program, and I just want to acknowledge to everybody in town to realize why our department gets the recognition that it does for the work that they do. And I just can't thank you enough for everything you guys have put together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Boyd.
I guess thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to kind of echo what Councilor Dwyer was saying, I guess it's kind of a good kudo from emergency management to say you don't need a consultant, because I'm confident that you guys are equipped to be able to conduct an exercise such as this. So to me, it's an indication that not only just the chief, but everybody that wears the blue and wears the badge, they've got a certain skill set that they're going to bring to the table to put together, at least the way that I'm looking at it, a good exercise. I mean, is that a fair? I mean, is that a fair perception?
It is, and I think if you polled everybody in the police department, they would probably echo the same sentiment we have. We try to provide a lot of direction and vision for the police department from the staff perspective. However, this is the kind of thing that when we talk about school safety, even our patrolmen, our detectives, our investigators, our community services officer, everybody realizes that there's probably no more important priority right now regarding what we can do and be effective doing it. And I think that's the most important thing. Be effective doing it with the appropriate amount of planning and preparation to be able to respond necessarily if in the event something like this happens. And I think every one of our officers in the department and our civilian personnel and support staff would tell you the exact same thing.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
And obviously we have an emergency management plan. We have different plans in town for specific scenarios. And this is my own curiosity, does the police department actually have a document that says this is an active shooter plan, with you've got deployment points, you've got safety zones where kids come out of this? I mean, do you have it? Do you have all that laid out on paper, and then you put it to work and you'll be tweaking it based on?
That's going to be part of this, is developing that plan.
Developing that plan.
Yeah, but it's going to be specific to this particular scenario. The emergency management director through the fire chief is the one who actually coordinates the all-hazard mitigation plan, which is something that's a generic document that works more or less in an all-hazard capacity. Anything that pops up, this is the mechanism that we use. This is going to be a fine-tuning of that to the extent that this is a police department response initially with the support services associated with EMS and with the fire department and other law enforcement agencies and whoever else may be following suit, Department of Public Works and the like.
One last question, Mr. Chairman. In reading Captain Dudash's memo, he puts in quotation PACT, and I have no idea what PACT is.
The PACT program, I think that paragraph I was talking about, presently we have a resource officer at the high school, the middle school, and then we have Rob Keller, who's our community service officer.
Okay.
He responds to, there used to be a DARE program, but we got rid of the DARE program because it was too time-consuming, so we backed it and did kind of a hybrid called the PACT program, which is police and children together.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of the same type of educational program, but Rob goes to the upper elementary school, the 5th and 6th graders, and he